Welcome to the channel. In this video, my brother does oil change and a DCT initialization on this 2022 Honda Goldwing. He changes from conventional oil, which his bike came with, to synthetic. And when you do that, you need to do a DCT initialization, and he shows you how to do that at the end of the video. But the main part of the video is him going through and doing his oil change and showing you how it is on a Honda Goldwing. He does the video himself, so forgive for any little imperfections in the video and sound or whatever. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell so you're notified of when new videos come out. Give a thumbs up. Leave a comment below. How did he do on his oil change? And we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm over here at my garage. As you can tell, I'm not Roy. I'm going to be working on doing an oil change on my 22 Goldwing. I do have the DCT, so there's going to be the regular oil filter plus the DCT filter, as well as 3 drain plugs. If you'd watched my other videos, or his other videos, I also have a traction dynamic engine guard, so I have to take that off first. There are some tricks to that you can get away with as long as you don't leave them out too long. Let me go ahead and flip the camera here, and I want to show you. What I'm going to try to show you here is underneath the bike. Okay, here's the engine guard. Okay. Normally you would take out these bolts right here, all the way across, the 3 here and the 4 on the front. Okay. But it's a kind of a pain to put it back up when trying to line up all those holes. So there is a kind of a way of doing it. You could take these two, take the 4 out in the front so the plate hangs, right? And you don't have to worry about taking off anything in the front. But it's much easier to take these 2 engine mounts out, okay? As long as you don't leave them out for very long, you know, like a day or 2, a couple hours, it should be perfectly fine. You might get a little drip of oil, just a little seep, but then the seep will go away. So, but it makes it much easier to put the engine guard back on because you just put these back on, and then the 4 should just lift up and put them in. Okay, so that's my first step. This is 6mm, and these little ones are 4. So I'm gonna take out the front ones and take this off, and then I'll show you what's underneath there. You also want to make sure that you have everything you need before you start. I have an oil filter, oil removal cap, a DCT filter, 3 more crush washers. You don't always have to replace them, but they're so cheap, might as well. And then the new O-ring. That's a bit smaller for friend Harden's videos. It's supposed to work great. I have the DCT plate, or I have the traction dynamic plate off. So let me go ahead and see if I can show you. All right, let's try this again. Here's my brother calling me. All right, so here's your oil filter, okay? And then you have a drain plug here, another one basically right below it. I don't know if I can see that one. There you go. All right. Boom, boom. Then one way back here. Right there. Yep. And then this right here is your DCT filter. There's a bolt right here and right here. And this should just pop down. All right, so let me get this off. Let me start draining the oil pull the drain plugs, and then get from there. Okay, so here's one tip of advice. Always make sure you pre-loosen all the bolts. There's 3 drain bolts, then you have the oil filter itself, and then the 2 bolts for the DCT. You just make sure you got the right sizes for all of them. The drain bolt are a socket 12. The DCT, the 2 bolts for the DCT filter is an 8. And if you use the cap from the manufacturer there, the manufacturer removal cap, that's a size 17 bolt. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and drain the oils. Once you got the 3 drain bolts out, those right there, I cleaned them up, put the new crush washers on them. Okay, and then once it drained out, I used this big pan right here to hold all the oil because I can't fit a normal sized pan underneath there. Then you take off the cover, the DCT filter cover, which is this right here. It does have the O-ring on it right there. Make sure that comes out. It's got a spring on it that sits like right here. And then the filter sits right on top of it, okay? The filter might kind of stick in there. I just kind of pop that up in there to grab it. So we're all good there. Okay, don't lose the spring, you need that. The oil wash, make sure the oil washer comes out. And then clean it up, put the new filter in, or put the new, you can use a little bit of the old oil and kind of oil that up a little bit and put it back on there. It's a little bit smaller, so it'll be a little tighter. The filter goes on with the rubber up, and the spring sits in here and sits just like that. Okay? And I'll show you that when I get that done. I just wanted to show you the different sizes. This is the original O-ring. And here's the new one. It's a little bit thicker and just a hair smaller. All right, well, I have everything back together. I actually didn't spill that much oil considering. I do recommend getting a custom pan for this, oil pan, because that was just about full and a lot of oil missing. So I got everything back together except for the plate. I don't have the plate on yet. Considering putting the plate on after I put the oil in, just make sure I can see if there's no massive leaks. Just tighten everything down and you should be all set to go. So I didn't record this part, but I will tell you now, the fill port for the Goldwing. It's got an interesting angle when you try to use a funnel. I'm assuming you'd have to buy a kind of a custom funnel that goes out and then up with a bend in it, like a bend in it. I'm sure you can get them anywheres, but I didn't have one, so I literally used a little siphon to put oil in. It took me forever. And then once you have what you think you have, it's 4.9 quarts. So it's a hair over 4.5 liters. It's like 4.6 liters. When you check the oil, you don't screw it back in. You leave it, you just unscrew it, which is about a half an inch out, and that's how you test it. The best thing to do is idle the bike for 5 minutes. Let the bike idle for 5 minutes, shut her off, let her cool off for like 2, and then you check the oil. As long as it's between the lines, you're all good. And the bike is supposed to be level. I'm using chalk, so that tips my bike, the front of the bike up a little bit, so the oil should probably go run back. A lot of people will use a center stand, which tips the bike forward and might show the oil a little bit higher than it should be. But so that was the oil change. Nothing too exciting. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. I don't always video as good as my brother, so I'm just doing this as a favor. And let us know what you think. Thanks. I also want to add one last thing, which I forgot to do, or I forgot all about. I switched from conventional oil to synthetic and a slightly thicker oil. When you do this on a DCT, you probably should do a what's called a DCT initialization. How you do it though is you got to get the bike up to running temperature if you want to go for a small ride, or just get the engine warm. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to do that now. In order to do an initialization, the bike has to be warm, and I did warm it up already. Basically, you want it at running temperature. Also, you might want to be on your side stand, or if you do it on the center stand, you need to make sure your parking brake is on, because you do not want the back tire spinning. That could cause some issues. I'm going to do it from right here. What you need to do is you're going to hold down the D and then turn this on. So you hold down D and turn this on. And then as soon as this goes away, you let go. And then you do D, D, N, D, N, and start the bike. And you'll see that and hear the thing clicking away. And what you're waiting for is this to go back to N. And that's it. It's been initialized.